Earlier this week, while most of our campus was either inside a library studying for midterms or out at the reading club trying to forget that they had any, Princeton Tonight decided to head to Terhune Orchards with legendary Princeton professor, Jeff Nunokawa.
I'm Jeff.
Professor Nunokawa, or Jeff as he sometimes likes to be called, is known around campus for his quick wit, encyclopedic knowledge, and amazing cardio capacity. We took him to a corn maze to put these skills to the test, but first we had to have a little bit of fun.
I've always wanted a tractor myself. I have a lot of family with tractors.
The challenge would be a unique one.
Thank you. Thank you. Hear that? 5'8".
First, we'd give Jeff a paper with a simple Coke or Pepsi type question on it. He'd get a chance to read it over and then have to run throughout the corn maze as fast as he could, pondering the question as he did so.
So I just start running?
So you have to run through the maze, but you can't cheat. I don't cover during the honor code.
This is Dean Dunn, Princeton's Dean of Undergraduate Students, being sure to remind Jeff of the university's honor code before he embarked.
Tell my mother I love her and leave my estate to the American Civil Liberties Union. How about that? You got that down? That's I think a binding will.
As the last part of the challenge, upon Jeff's emergence from the maze, he would have to deliver a compelling case for whichever side he chose.
Cake or pie? Cake or pie?
And the Princeton Tonight production team was off, in hot pursuit of Jeff Nunokawa.
Cake or pie? Cake or pie? Cake or pie? You really want to tell me? Okay, so I thought about this a lot. I actually prefer pie, unless it's apple pie. I don't like apple pie. But the reason why is that with pie, I have a phobia about dry, things that are too dry, like dry chicken or dry cake, dry bread. With pie, you know, now it's never going to be dry. The other thing about pie is, I just like the sound of the word pie. I think there's a funny word, pie. It just sounds funny, pie. That's my whole argument. Cake or pie, boom, that's it.
Okay, so he pulled it off once, but could he do it again?
Rock and roll or disco? I like this one. Okay, rock and roll or disco? Do I give you this? Do I take this?
Take it with you.
Okay, do I go do the same little thing again?
Get up.
Okay. That's easy. Disco, no question. Disco. Rock and roll disco is the choice. Why? I just have a lot of happy memories associated with disco, and besides, the truth is I actually think disco has broader appeal because people can mistake it for a different kind of music. People can mistake it for like older music. It's so strange, it can be confused with elevator music, but it's actually much more sexual. Well, that's not true. It's much more chemically sexual. It's much more sexual in a kind of synthetic way. So that's my personal preference. I get the rock and roll thing, but I haven't been straight long enough, if you know what I mean. I haven't been like comfortable with straightness long enough to really go in for that rock and roll as it came out with, you know, back in the day, which was all pelvic and all like, you know, that's what it was. A certain kind of male, you know, straight male sex. Whereas disco was so always way gay. So when I see straight guys dancing to disco, no matter what, no matter when, I think they're coming onto my side. Whereas when I see myself dancing to rock and roll, it's kind of like, I love it, but I'm going along with it. That's my argument.
2 down, and only 1 more to go.
And the winner is... I love this.
Let's walk through it. Do you want to read it out loud?
Of course I do. Of course I do. This is actually a really good question. 19th century English literature or young adult novels? Well, let me answer that question indirectly. Well, I will answer that question. The answer to the question is, in a very real and in a real way, in a tragic real way, they're the same thing. And I'm thinking of a great essay by a really great critic. His name is Franco Moretti. His essay is called Kindergarten. And the spirit of the essay was put to me by a man with whom I was friends at one time, a very, very important and perspicacious literary critic named David Miller, D.A. Miller, whose specialty was the Victorian novel. And he said, I'm just really depressed. I'm just really depressed to realize that all of my novels are kiddies' novels, or kiddie fiction. By which he meant the following, and this was Moretti's argument in Kindergarten, that 19th century fiction, what we call 19th century literature, the romance plot, the boy always gets the girl. How does Oscar Wilde put it in The Importance of Being Earnest? Yes, in my novel, the good end happily, the evil unhappily. That is what fiction means. And just that sense of like, if you want something, if you look for something longingly enough, hard enough, you will find it. That sense of the camera that will always find what it is that it's looking for. The sense of the girl who always, by the end, will get the right man. That sense makes the distinction between children's literature and 19th century fiction, English literature, young adult novels. Young adult. I love that phrase though. Young adult. It makes them be sort of the same thing. This guy says something really beautiful at the end of this essay, Kindergarten. He says, and so now we come back, and what he's talking about is how literature, it's how 19th century fiction is always about young adult literature, or children's literature, because it naturalizes what is historical. And he uses this phrase, and so we come back really for the last time to our books. That's what he calls them. As if, but what's tragic and beautiful about that moment is, or what's real about that moment is, there's no last time. It's not like you'd ever go back for the last time to your favorite young adult book. That book, and let's face it, when you're a kid, all fiction, any fiction, is by definition young adult because you're aspiring. Like if you're really reading something seriously, you're thinking, I want to be that person. I want to climb. I want to be that person. I'm young and I want to be an adult. You know, whether it be, what's the famous young adult fiction? The Outsiders, right? The Outsiders, God. Stay gold. That sense that you're always reaching a little bit above yourself. That's what young adult means, right? That's what young adult means. And 19th century fiction does that too. But anyway, so that's my answer to that question. They're the same thing. So that's my answer. That's my sincere answer to that question.
Well, so I don't know about you, but I think he passed. At Princeton, with a solid A-, and at Harvard, with an A+.